In this video, we're going to look at how to interview somebody in Ecamm, either for a live stream or just for a record only. We're going to bring a guest in. I've got Owen waiting to come through. I'm going to show you how to set everything up here in advance of that. And we're going to go live so you can see the experience for me as the host and him as the guest on his end as well. It's going to be good. So we start out, if you haven't used this before, you've got a tab down the right side of here that is your interview. There's two little people down there. And you click to turn on interview mode. And it's asking up here for my camera, my end. And then this is just the navigation. And like everything else in Ecamm, we can pick this up, move it around, resize it. We can now actually have up to 10 guests in interview mode. So if you've got 10 people queued up and we're sitting in your green room, you'd have a long list of them down here that you can scroll through, and individually you can jump on and change their details. But we'll see more of this in a minute. Now, at its most basic, we come down here, right at the bottom here, you've got a link that when I click on it and it's copied, this is what I'm going to send to my guest in advance and say, you know, come and jump in here, and you'll see in a few minutes with Owen on his screen what it looks like for your guest. It's actually a really nice experience for them. And then I've got some settings in here actually. I can now go in and I can change the title. This is the page where my guest is going to appear. It says 𝗘𝗰𝗺𝗃𝗧𝗦's live. I can add images down here for this is for the bottom left corner of the screen that they're in. So I can put one down here for light mode and one for dark mode. In fact, let's do that. So I can just pick up an image, drag it onto there, and that will appear in dark mode if my guest's in dark mode. And if they're in light mode, this is what's going to appear in front of them. Let me just save that. So now as I come in here, these details are in. I can default them to dark mode if I want to. I can allow private chat. So they're going to get to see, you'll see over here, look, show viewer comments, show viewer count. So my guest can actually see the chat in the same way that I can in Ecamm, and they can see how many people are attending. And if we've got private chat turned on, there's the option in here that, you know, maybe they're talking and I just want to send them a message, or I've forgotten something. It's an opportunity for me to be able to have a private chat to them that nobody else is seeing. And then there is a mode down here to turn off the audio processing for musicians, really. This is helping with the echo cancellation, so leave it unchecked for most of what you're doing. So I hit save down here. That's as much as I want to do in advance there. We're going to see in a minute as they come in multiple ways really that we can either very simply bring that guest in. If you're at a basic level really with Ecamm, you're really just starting out with it and you just want to be able to bring that guest in, sit them alongside you, we'll show you that. And then a more advanced way of creating scenes and really making this look nice. So I'm going to give Owen a nudge now and tell him that he can come in, and we're recording his screen as well. So this is what it's like for him. He'll put his link in. Ideally using Chrome is it's more stable, better experience to use Chrome, and it's worth explaining this to your guest in advance. And then he's going to get an option there to select his camera, and then he can select his microphone, and then he gets to enter his name in here. And as soon as he clicks join, we're going to see him over here in this interview tab. And here he comes. So I can hit the answer button. And automatically, Owen has come into my green room. Hi, Owen. Can you hear us?
Hey, yeah, I can.
Fantastic. So if there were more guests than this, as I say, they would all be queuing up one on top of the other down here. The first thing I want to do really, and I can do this while Owen is in the green room here with me. If we were preparing and we were getting ready to do a live together and we're, 5-10 minutes out, which is good practice, ask your guest to come on in advance. I'm interested to see that our sound levels are coming through evenly. It's really frustrating if you're watching, listening to an interview and one person's microphone is clearly much louder than the others. It's hard to listen to. And so I've got this sound levels tab down here. And this would be one occasion when I am using the echo cancellation, because I want to make sure that the echo cancellation is stopping my microphone hearing Owen coming through my speakers. And so it's important to do. I can see that Owen's got headphones on. That's good practice. So Owen's not going to have his microphone picking up me because I'm coming through his ears, which his microphone can't hear. Makes sense, doesn't it? So I'm just going to talk to Owen on here, and you can see that my level on there, this is my microphone at the top, and it's just kind of hitting into the yellows. That would be the volume that I would set this to normally. And now as I just chat with Owen, and let's just see what his microphone's coming in like.
Yeah. So what's the level of my microphone coming in as? Is it
Yeah.
too loud, too quiet?
Yeah, yours is coming in quite a bit louder than mine at the minute, so I'm just pulling that down. Yeah, so Owen, what have you been up to? What are you doing today?
I'm going through some training and just
Excited for our
learning
interview.
as much as I can.
So I think that's looking about right on there. So I've got Owen just pulled down slightly as an interview. Now this works really well when there's just one guest and I can adjust it down here. Notice that actually over in the interview tab, I've also got a level there for audio. So if maybe I've got multiple guests, I think what I would be doing is leaving interview up on full on my sound levels, and then individually I'd be pulling them back down. And even if it's somebody that's jumping in partway into a live or a recording, you can actually quite quickly do this as long as you're aware of it and prepared for it. And one feature that is pretty new in here in Ecamm is actually, if I come into my preferences down here and I go into recording, I can actually select record isolated audio tracks. And what this will do is at the end of our interview, at the end of our recording, this is going to give me a separate file for my microphone and a separate one for Owen's and a mixed one. So if need be, when I come to edit this one afterwards, or I know a lot of you do podcasting and send these away for someone to organize, they can actually mix the levels in there afterwards. And notice on here as well, again, another new great feature is for the recording. Now I've only actually got one camera attached at the minute, but I can say I want to do exactly the same thing with the video files. So this is going to give me a clean feed of my camera and then my interview guests. So any guests that I've got, again up to 10 guests that I can have on, I'm going to get a separate individual file afterwards. So I don't need to worry too much about who was on camera and coming in between. Certainly if this is a recording that I'm doing for creating a podcast or something out of later on, I want to be able to focus on what I'm doing and not being worrying about who's on which camera. I'll get all these extra files at the end and I can send it off to an editor or edit it myself, mix in the audio, mix in who's on camera, and yeah, completely playing around with that. Really flexible. So I've got those settings turned on. I can get rid of that preferences overlay now. Two different ways really of bringing Owen on. At the minute, he's sitting here in the green room, so I can talk to him. You know, we haven't gone live, we haven't recorded anything, but there's several ways of bringing him on. If you're really kind of entry level at this and fairly basic, I mentioned this a few minutes ago, all I need to do with Owen, look, I've got down here, solo, add left, add right, or assign. The assign will come to, but maybe we're talking and I want to bring Owen on and I say, right, here's Owen coming on screen. I click solo and now you can see Owen at full screen, and I can either click back to bring it back to this one, or I can click solo upon mine. Or if I want to come on screen together and I want Owen to sit to the right of me, I click here and now Owen's appearing on the right side of me. So that's a very simple, very basic way of doing this. I'm really just kind of using this as my clickers to go between who I want on screen and how I want that working. And Owen, if you show us your end, actually what you're looking at there, so you get the option of choosing between just seeing yourself on camera or actually seeing the feed as it goes. So if I bring this one up side by side, if you can just demonstrate your end and let us see how you're seeing between the two options on here. I know when I've spoken to customers in the past and they've said, my guest said they can only see themselves, it's because they're this button down here, isn't it? Okay, now we want to do more advanced than this, and actually what I can do is if I just pop Owen back into the green room there a minute, I'm going to come off as well. We're going to create a new scene over here and we're going to call it interview. In fact, what I'll put is interview both. And I like to start with a blank scene, and we've got a background in this at the back. We've got other videos, check that out on the playlist about how to do these different overlays and putting in images in backgrounds. But what I'll do now is bring in a camera overlay over here, and I'm going to select custom, and I'm going to shape this one up. So this is my camera on this side. What I can do is hit the option key and drag this over, and it creates another scene, and I can just then say, and the next one, I want this to be guest one. Now, I can do this in advance. I can have these scenes will always be there and ready for me. I can play with all this, rounded corners, changing the backgrounds, sorting the shapes out. That's not the topic for today. Go and check out those videos that we've done on creating overlays. But all of a sudden over here now with Owen, I can say assign to guest 1. And then wherever there's a placeholder that's called guest 1, Owen's going to be appearing in that box now. And I think straight away, this looks nicer than just me bringing Owen on and sitting at the side of me. We can do something like this. We could actually pop, haven't said that, but we can also create placeholders at the bottom here to put names in, or all sorts of things. Now, I've put this as interview both. What I'm going to do is just clone this down, and I'm going to call this next scene interview me. And what I'll do is I'll just pull my image straight over the top like this and lose Owen's one. And what I'm going to do in this one is mute my interviewee, because in this one, both of our mics are going, and if Owen coughed, I'd hear that and we'd see it coming through. Maybe on this one, I'm introducing him and he hasn't come on yet. And if he's coughing or shuffling around or shouting to someone, I'm just about to go live. We don't want that coming through on here. And then what I can do is clone this one again, and I can say on this one, I'm going to say interview guest. And then I can change this view to be guest 1, which in this case is Owen, but we're setting these up to be in advance. And then the next interview I do, it'll be, I again add that person to placeholder as guest 1. And then what we need to remember is that then when we've got our guest on, we need to unmute him, and potentially we mute ourselves so that it's only Owen that is speaking. So you can see how we can change those microphones. It allows me to go to Owen like that, and if I'm sitting typing away on my keys down here, you're not going to hear it your end. And I can just unmute and mute as I want to. So all of a sudden, we've created 3 nice looking scenes there where we can jump between us. Other things we can do, well, there's lots of other things that we can do with these scenes. Let me just continue with this one. I think if I clone this down and I say, thank you for being patient there, Owen. I'm going to say interview both plus my screen. And what I'm going to do is just pop me up to the top here in a square. And I can do the same with Owen. And I'm placing it one over the other just so I can get the sizes the same. And then I can drag Owen over to this side. So now we're going to bring a screen share overlay on this one. And I'm going to select, let's just pick up Chrome down here. And let's imagine that in this scenario, Owen and I are just walking through this training together. And so I could drop this down here. All the guides and things allow me to snap this. I can crop in my edges. I'm flying through this quite quick. But we could be doing this. And then if I want to, I could send this one to the back so that Owen and I are both sitting over the front of it. And actually then, as I'm sharing my screen over here, Owen and I are both able to talk about it. Now, another quick scenario might be Owen's got something. He's coming on to present to my community. And Owen has already got a presentation, or he's going to demonstrate a web page or something his end. So Owen, again, just show us on your end how you've got an option there to share your screen. This again really needs you to be on Chrome. And Owen gets an option then to either share his entire screen or Chrome or tabs. So he gets some good options there, the same as what I'm seeing here. So go for one of those tabs, Owen. Let's have a look. And here it comes. So it comes in as if it were another guest in the interview. And what I can do is, if in advance, so we've got this scene here, we're going to clone this one down, and I'm going to call this one interview plus, let's just put G screen. This is our guest screen over here. Because of the way that the guest screen is coming in, it's not a screen share overlay, it's a camera overlay. So I need to recreate this one. We're just going to bring a camera overlay in. We're going to fit it to roughly the same size like this. I just need to change that to be custom size. So I've laid that over the top. I can get rid of my screen share underneath. And the video source is, check down here, it's guest 2. Well, we haven't actually allocated it yet. So we're going to put a placeholder here as guest 2. And then down here, when it says, where do I want to share this screen? I can say, let's call this guest 2. And then what do you know? In it comes. Again, I just want to push this to the back. So send to back allows Owen and I to sit in front. Can you see how quickly and easily? So now I'm hands off. Owen's walking us through this. Really, really powerful. You could get all this ready in advance and have all these scenes and things ready. So, you know, it starts with me talking and I'm saying, hey, I'm bringing Owen on, and Owen, why don't you come on? Owen comes on and chats with us. Maybe I say, why don't you introduce yourself? And then it goes over to Owen like this, comes back to us. Potentially I'm showing something my end and I'm talking through here, or I say, hey, why don't we hand over to you, Owen, and you can share your screen. I pass over the controls, and now while I'm sitting here, Owen is sharing his screen and he's walking us through this process. And at any point I can go, actually, Owen, let's just have a chat about that, and I bring it back to here. Can you see how powerful this is? And even little things, I can change Owen's settings around on there as well. So notice that I'm sitting a lot closer in than what Owen is. I can actually click on the camera effects. I can do the same with his screen actually, which I'll show you in a second. But I'm clicking here on Owen, and I can actually zoom in a bit on Owen's camera. You can see down there in the camera effects tab where it's moving. Maybe that's a little bit too much, but there you go. That kind of puts us more side by side, rather than looking like Owen's down here and I'm up here. And if I wanted to, I can do all the camera effects, if not really in this case, but if I felt I needed to adjust things or trying to change things around in the settings, I can do everything over here. Powerful that I can do all these things over here, and really like that. And actually, as I say, I could do the same thing with Owen's screen. So if Owen, for instance, if you leave that pause there for a second, Owen, and I've got his screen here and Owen's just talking this through, and I wanted to go, Owen, that's really interesting. I can just see that, you know, you've got this comment up at the top here. See how in that camera effects tab there, I can actually zoom in and I can move around in here and focus in on parts of Owen's screen. How powerful is that? Now, I think it'd be really good if we actually went live just to my private profile, because I want to actually see what happens from Owen's side. I want you to see how good this is, that he can see the chat the same as I can. Plus we can also chat with each other off air. So if I'm going to just select my profile, I'm going to go to only me, and I'm just going to pop that in, and we're going to go live now. I'm then going to grab my phone and find this live that we're on. This is always that bit when you realize that actually everybody can see it. No, there it is. So if I were to pop a comment into here, there it is. I panicked for a second. I couldn't see it coming in. So I pop up in here and I can say to Owen, oh, look, I can see, hi there, you two, is a comment that could pop in and it could come on screen like this. But actually, even without this, Owen, you can see this on your screen, can't you? Now, I can see this comments and reactions screen on here. Actually, Owen, on your screen, up in the top right corner, I believe it is, there's like a little speech or a comment symbol, which is the same as I've got down here. If you click on that, you're going to see those comments appear. As I'm seeing them down here, Owen's seeing them on his screen as well. Are you yawning?
I did just then, yeah.
As I'm seeing them here, Owen's seeing them on his screen as well. This is really useful. And if you've got a guest on and there's a busy chat going, it's good for them to be able to scroll down and see the comments as well. Certainly if it's quite a long question, rather than me trying to explain it this end, that's really powerful. And also what I can do, there's another little tab down here that when I click this speech bar, there's an interview chat. So I can now So I could actually send a private message in here to Owen, and Owen has the option to just change on that chat between private chat or the public chat. And he could message back to me as well. So maybe while a video was on or something else was happening, the guest and I are able to communicate down here. They've really thought this through in Ecamm. It really is a nice, slick system. I don't know of another way for us to be able to have a live stream like this that I can, most of the cloud-based versions of this that we would live stream on is pretty fixed and limited, the templates. But we could literally change anything around on this that we wanted to. I could have different scenes with different layouts, extremely powerful. I think this is a fantastic way if you're interviewing. Now, as we said before, when we finish this, we're going to get separate tracks. So in theory, I'm going to get my camera, I'm going to get Owen's, and I'm going to get his desktop come in as another camera source. So if you were editing this, you could do all these things afterwards, but we're not going to need to because we've done such a good job prepping it, getting it ready like this. When I save this recording, it'll be a file that I'm happy to work with. And remember, this isn't just for live streams like we're demonstrating here. We don't have to go live. If I said to Owen, right, this is for a podcast, for a video interview that I want to play later, we're going to tidy it up and put it up separately. We don't have to be live. We could just hit record only. So I think this is fantastic. I can just hit finish. I can end the broadcast. And when it shows me the file at the end here, look what I've got. We've got audio files for me and for the guest. We've got the mix, and we've got camera A, which is mine. We've got the guest's camera coming through there. And then we've got the guest screen coming through as guest 2. So really powerful, isolated audio, isolated video. I don't know what else we could be wanting from this, really. Been a good experience your end, hasn't it? It works well.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, we could be proud to bring on guests and interview them on this platform. Yeah, good experience. I don't need to have anything set up, but I do have a little worksheet that really is designed to help you prepare your guest in advance. So we'll make that available to you. And I think, thank you, Owen. Appreciate you coming on, and I'll let you go and then I'll wrap this up. So this is what I would do. Owen can either remove himself from his end, or I can just hit this button here and he goes. Or what I would always do is bring him off of the main camera, and then I could just click the red button and remove him at this point. So there he goes. We're back in here, and that hopefully was a pretty thorough look at the interview tool. Let me know what you think to that. Now, if you landed straight into this video looking how to do the interviews, and I seem to have run through quite quickly overlays and different ways of moving around in here, please do check out our playlist. And even more so, why don't you get registered? Come and join us in our Ecamm Live Academy, where we have 2 weeks live together. Great opportunity. This is one of the biggest things, really, of getting people to have a play in a safe place in a Facebook community where you can interview each other, be interviewed, practice, rather than have it happen when you've got your VIP client that you're bringing on. There's a couple of options there for further training, but if we went through this a bit quick, camera overlays, screen share overlays, all of these things we've covered in videos over on the playlist on YouTube here. So hope you've enjoyed that. Please give us a thumbs up if you have, and I'll see you in another video.